More than 50% of Americans don't have an estate plan to safeguard their wealth and assets and determine how an estate should be divided. Without a will or other legal protections in place, state law determines how an estate should be divided, and a probate court decides who should handle administration of the estate. It's critical to have a will and an estate plan, no matter one's level of assets, savings, or other holdings, and to work with an attorney to ensure everything is prepared and filed correctly.
One of the bigger misconceptions is that estate planning is only for elderly people or people that are already ill. Life is unexpected. People never know when a tragedy is going to strike their family or an illness is going to happen, and being prepared not only helps out the individual, but the family as a whole. It sets a roadmap for people as far as what their wishes are, what their desires are, and who they want to put in charge of that. People think estate planning is just transferring their property from one generation to the next or one person to the next, but it really is so much more. As far as who's going to be in charge of doing that, what are your wishes?
It doesn't have to be about money, and it isn't clearly bank accounts we're dividing. It's what are we going to do with a burial versus a cremation? Where are we going to have the burial? Do we have a funeral plot ahead of time? Did we think about things like that? And then going to what are we doing about personal property? And sometimes personal property are things that have been inherited. One child may care about, another child doesn't, but unless they agree, you can have a mess on your hands.
That's the biggest problem with not having any planning at all. The danger is that it leaves everybody guessing after your death. And if everybody's guessing, everybody inherently has a different version of what they think you wanted to do, and ultimately a judge decides it's more costly, it's more expensive, it rips families apart. Doing a will on your own or doing a will off of the internet is especially problematic when somebody passes away. The will may not have been executed correctly in accordance with the law of the state that you're in. It could not have addressed tax issues that are unique to the state. It may not have addressed disability issues that are unique to the state. It may have not addressed guardianship issues for minor children. So because every state has different laws and everybody's situation is usually very different, it's very challenging to do your own will.
I hear all the time, why do I really need an estate plan? That's for the ultra wealthy. I don't have a private plane or a yacht. And it's such a misconception out there. Estate planning is for everyone. We all have property, whether it's the biggest piece of stone or the smallest piece of stone. It's something that people work their entire lives for. It's more than just your wealth and transferring your wealth, but putting people in the position to make decisions for you or effectuate your wishes. And by having those people in place, they're guiding the rest of the family. They're in charge of doing it, and it prevents the family from fighting with each other. I've seen families fight over tea sets. So value means very little in this. It's very personal. It can be as personal as a picture on the wall or a photo album. At Cramer Anderson, we look at each individual person. We're a community firm here. We don't shy anyone away from us because we don't feel they have enough money or they don't meet our standards. We've been around for well over 100 years serving our community, and we continue to do so. It's important to us to not only serve everyone, but treat everyone as they're our most important client. They come in, we meet with them, they fill out questionnaires beforehand, and we have these conversations with them where we not only talk about what are your assets, what are the tax implications, but we want to know what your goals are, how your family's made up. Tell me about your children.
Our programs that we offer, the estate planning programs, and they're not pitches for living trusts or anything like that. We just go out there and say, here's why you should have a will, here's the consequences if you don't have a will, here's why a healthcare directive, explaining your wishes before you're in crisis is important. And those evenings that we go out to senior centers and share that information, whether it comes back as a client to us, isn't important. What's important is that it triggers somebody to do something and act and get that estate plan in place.
Cramer and Anderson is really the sweet spot of law firms, at least we are not a one or two person or attorney shop where people are jacks of all trades, where they try to do a little bit of everything. All our partners here and most of our attorneys specialize in certain areas. So we're very good at what we do because that's all that attorney actually does. We like to be able to service you no matter what your needs are. So if there's somebody that comes in to see me and they have an issue in an area of practice that I don't practice in, and I have a law partner that specializes in that. On the other side, we are not a multi-conglomerate law firm with hundreds or maybe thousands of partners located around the country and around the world. So we still give that hometown local service, but we have the sophistication that most people need.
My end goal every time I work with a client is for us to finish what we're doing, sign our documents, and for them to say thank you. And for them to walk away going, thank you so much. You made that easy, you made that painless, and I understand everything. You took something that's really complicated and you made it easy for me to digest and feel comfortable with.
My advice is to come in and talk to us. We will always go through everything with you. We will determine what we think you should have in place in terms of an estate plan. If it's something simple, we recommend something simple. If it's something that requires a little bit more complexity, we add on the complexity. But in every situation, somebody needs something.
We're part of our community. They serve us by coming and using us, and we serve them. It's so much more than just being an attorney, but being an active member and caring about the community around us.
To learn more about Cramer and Anderson or schedule an initial consultation, visit the website at crameranderson.com or call the number on your screen.